Hello and welcome to a look at Zorro for the Commodore 64, a game that was released by Datasoft. The plot of this game is that the evil Sergeant Garcia has kidnapped a young senorita, and of course Zorro can't just accept that. Had it been an old hag, it would have been a completely different story, but he dons his mask and his cape and whatever else he dons. I mean, he is a don, so whatever he's doing, he's donning it and be done with it. But he gives chase, trying to rescue the young senorita, but she's been taken to a fort, which is not easily accessible, and in order to enter or get access to said fort, Zorro will have to navigate the whopping 20 screens that this game consists of, picking up various objects and taking them to other screens and dropping them off and using them and whatever else he needs to do. From time to time, guards will appear from various different doorways, and the music will become a bit more upbeat to indicate that action is occurring. And then you have to wait for your opponent's sword to be lowered and your own character's sword to be lowered at the same time, and then by hitting the fire button it will go swoosh whoosh and form a C set, whatever you call it. I can never remember which one is supposed to be correct. I think technically both of them are correct, but it is irrelevant. What is relevant is covering the technical aspects of this game. From a graphical point of view, this game looks a bit on the coarse side. You have to bear in mind, of course, this is a game from 1985, and as such you can only expect so much, but you can, with a bit of imagination, get into the idea that the character you are controlling is indeed Zorro, and the guards, I suppose, look a bit like guards. I don't know how guards are supposed to look like in a game from 1985, but I will roll with it. While the graphics perhaps are a bit bland in certain ways, but also a bit on the coarse side, you still get a sort of feeling of being in a Spanish Mexican setting, whatever it's supposed to be. I can't remember, sorry, around the turn of the 19th century. So I suppose in that regard, graphically it is somewhat thematically appropriate, despite the fact that it is definitely a bit rough around the edges. When it comes to sound effects, there's not an awful lot of them, and they are quite subtle, especially because you have the music playing continuously. So I don't have an awful lot to say about any sound effects. But the music, it is one of the shortest loops in any game I have played on any system even, to be honest, and it is not exactly the most advanced tune in the world. And part of me wants to be dreadfully annoyed by it because of the short loop, but there's also a part of me that insists that even though it is a relatively basic tune, and even though it isn't exactly the most advanced instrumentation or whatever you would call it being used, it has a certain something to it that I can't help but like, even though it gets on my nerves. It's one of those odd things. I mean, I could easily have switched the music off, but I decided that if I had to endure it, then any viewers of this video should do the same. Thankfully, there is an option to switch it off because I'm fairly sure that a lot of people would find that tune incredibly agitating after a minute or three. The controls, good old classic, left, right, up, down, do whatever you expect them to do. Diagonally up, left, and right to jump in those directions, and hit the fire button to do a swish swish when you have a guard bound, and also use the fire button to pick up objects. The controls themselves are responsive, but the application of the controls is at times incredibly obnoxious. As you may have gathered by the video so far, there's an awful lot of jumping, and in most games, platform games, you would assume that you have to run over to the edge of the platform before you jump in order to make certain jumps, but not in this game. About 2/3 of the time, if you are at the very edge of a platform, the Zorro will decide that no, you want to jump down. Okay, you are holding diagonally up, right or left, whichever is appropriate for the direction you're trying to move, but no, he jumps off the platform because it wouldn't be fun otherwise. So in many occasions you actually have to jump half a step before you think you have to jump, and then the game will correct. Sometimes in a bit harsh fashion, it looks like you're going through the floor and then suddenly you're on the platform you are supposed to, or you are hoping to land on, and it can be a touch on the wonky side. The gameplay, it is a go find an object and hope that it is logical what you need to use said object for, and then drop it off at the screen where it seems illogical for that logic to be applied, and then rinse and repeat. It is a gameplay style that certain people absolutely adore and certain people dislike it quite heavily, and I have to admit I do belong to that category of people who do not like running back and forth between screens, picking up an object here and an object there, and try to work out where the heck it has to go and in what pixel perfect position it has to be placed in order to be applied by the game. And that sort of makes it sound like I'm possibly bashing this game. But for all its shortcomings, there is something very, very enchanting about it. I've tried to work out what it is that makes me think it's enchanting. Maybe it's the theme, maybe it's the fact that you actually get a chance to play the hero Zorro, or maybe it's just good old-fashioned nostalgia. I don't know. And you know what, to be honest, I don't really need to know. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time. Bye bye for now.